Buenos dias and Happy New Year. This is not the same t-shirt, so I guess you know that I didn't segue right into making this 357 Magnum video. I don't know why I'm dragging my feet on this. Well, I know why. As I stated, it's a lot of math, not math, a lot of numbers to crunch. And hopefully, if you're watching this video, you're going to see that I'm going to go one of two ways. I'm going to try and make a little more production value. Hopefully, there was some theme music playing on the titles. If there wasn't, I couldn't figure it out. Uh, but I'm going to see more voiceover as the shooting segments commence. And speaking of the shooting segments, the whole aspect of this ballistics, difference of uh, barrel lengths for the same caliber of different rounds. It's going to be chronograph testing. That's going to be 90%. Actually, it's going to be about 100% of all the shooting footage you're going to see. And as Paul Harrell used to say, some people find chrono testing tedious and boring. Well, be forewarned, this whole video is going to be chrono testing. So if you don't like it, maybe this isn't the video for you. But if you are interested in the camera's really shaking. I got to stop doing this. If you are interested in the information I'm going to try and get out to you, then you could probably I'll do a thing, you could skip to the part, I don't know how I could time it out on the video, but skip to a part when you see me coming back here holding something like this. This is all my raw footage. I will probably put it up on the screen so you could read and pause it and read all the numbers, but that's how I think this video is going to go. This is probably going to be a disjointed mess like most of my videos are. I'm probably going to be changing my shirt 3 times. I'm only wearing this because I'm going to the gym right now. As I make this video, it is January 15th, 2025. It's obviously a big gap since the last video I came out. I really work at a snail's pace. So I'm going to have to really consider how I do videos in the future and if I do videos in the future, because I'm kind of running out of things I can do unless I could show you real shooting. And again, as I constantly lament, I can't shoot out here. I can't shoot anything interesting. It's always going to be range footage. So I have to really dig to find subjects that I could cover where the video with the shooting actually adds something instead of just another guy shooting a gun on YouTube. Another thing you're going to see, I calculated numbers a couple of ways. The chronograph I use is very good. And generally, when you see 5-shot strings, 4-shot strings to get velocity, you'll see people use the mean. They take the 5, you add them all together, you divide by 5, and that's your mean, that's your average. I'm going to give you 2 versions of these numbers because maybe it's the chrono, maybe it was the lighting, maybe it's some things. But the mean on mine, there was a wide deviation in speeds between some of the rounds, which made me really doubt the accuracy of some of the things I was seeing. So I'm going to give you 2 numbers. I'm going to give you the mean and then the median. The median being in a string of 5, you have some highs, you have some lows, and somewhere in the middle, there's always one that's the middle number. So I think in this case, the median might also give some value, because when you have a deviation of 108 foot-pounds on something like the Magtech 158 grain out of 4-inch barrel, 158 feet per foot-pounds, feet per second from the highest velocity to the lowest velocity, that seems a little hinky to me. I might be wrong. Maybe Magtech is loaded all over the place, but that just seems a little weird to me. So I'm going to give you the option of choosing the mean or the median as far as how I calculated my math. And to be honest with you, the numbers are, the energy foot-pounds really only differ by about 10 energy foot-pounds. So does it really fucking matter? Probably not. But that's how I'm going to do it. So be forewarned, there might be more numbers to digest. Also, the format of this is going to be, after this intro segment, you're going to see, point of view range, and I'm going to be trying all my various firearms with the various rounds. To recap, I have a 4-inch Ruger 357 Magnum, a 3-inch Ruger 357 Magnum, and a 2-inch or 1.75, whatever the hell the barrel length is on those J-frame Smith & Wesson snubbies, also a 357 Magnum. I have to stop hitting the table. And the ammunition I used was the Hornady American Gunner, which is 125 grain hollow point. The Magtech, which is 158 grain. I don't think it's a hollow point. I think it's like a soft point, but Maybe I'll show you on the video. And because I wanted to get something really different, I blew up the box of the Ruger ARX 86 grain, like a polymer or molded plastic polymer projectile. I was hoping to get something on that. Unfortunately, I'm not even gonna. I'm probably gonna cut that part out. What's already gonna be a long, tedious video, because it was giving me such. In fact, on the intro, I'll tell you why I'm not gonna do it. I'll hold it up. Now this is high tech. I'll hold it up in case you want to see the numbers. You can pause it and take a look at what I was looking at. There you go. You paused it. And what you're going to see right off the bat is on the 4-inch barrel, I had a reading of 1063, which is okay. I'll throw out. But then I had 1424, 1452, 1414, 1423. Okay, that's actually kind of less than what the 125 grain gave me. In the 3-inch barrel, I was even worse. Nothing over, nothing cracked 1200. My highest was 1183 feet per second in a 3-inch barrel. And then in a 2-inch barrel, oddly enough, I was getting readings 1350, 1400, 1300, 1322. Well, how's it gaining more velocity at a 2-inch barrel? Here's my theory. On the Garmin chronograph that I use, it has multiple settings. It has settings you can set it for. I gotta stop doing that. It has settings for archery equipment. It has settings for air rifles. And it has settings for a handgun, if you think you're going to be shooting a handgun, or if you're shooting rifle. The idea being is that it's going to calculate its radar differently based on rifle velocities and handgun velocities. And I'm assuming they're going to put the rifle velocity cutoff at about 1,700 feet per second, just to be, if I was guessing, I might have read it in the nomenclature, but I'm assuming it's around 1,700 feet per second. So what I'm guessing is that with the 4-inch and the 3-inch barrels, with the 86 grain projectile, we were exceeding that velocity. So it was throwing out weird readings, like 10, on a 4-inch barrel and 86 grain projectile, 1,063 feet per second, and nothing really over that much over 1,400 feet per second. And a 3-inch barrel, nothing that even touched 1,200 feet per second. Yet the 2-inch barrel, I was getting 14 to 1,300 feet per second readings. To me, that says that the 3 and a 4-inch barrel was throwing the projectile downrange too fast. I had it set for pistol velocities, and I think they might have cracked that threshold for rifle velocities. And I think a 2-inch barrel with that short barrel was returning. Probably the only one that was accurate was a 2-inch barrel. So if there's any science to be taken out of that, if you're running something like an 86 grain projectile out of your 357 Magnum 2-inch, you are going to get velocities like between 1,400 and 1,322 feet per second, if that means anything to you. But seeing as how I can't trust the other ones, this is silly science. We're not going to cover. We're really just going to cover the 125 grain American Gunner and 158 grain MagTech. And then finally, before I go into my chronographing, you're going to see the string again. Point of view, you're going to see the strings. You're going to see the guns I'm using are going to be obvious, and the boxes I'm using the ammo I'm using are going to be obvious. I'm going to hold it up. The chronograph is going to be visible on the screen, but I'm going to voice over also and give some narrative to maybe, because I know you just love my narratives. I'll voice over each shot that I took to tell you what I was thinking, what I was seeing. Maybe it makes this tedious chronograph a little less tedious, but we'll see how it works out. Then when it's all said and done, we'll go over those ballistics charts again and see what we can learn about the differences in barrel length as it pertains to the same caliber. Spoiler alert, there's a big difference between 2 and 4-inch. The 3-inch actually doesn't really, I wouldn't say it splits the difference. The 3-inch ballistically is very close to the 4-inch, I think we're going to find. But let's go to the chronographing, and then I'll see you on the back side. If you don't want the chronographing, I'll wave these in front of the camera when I start the next segment, and we can just go over the signs that we see. And then I'll recap it, and we'll touch on a few other subjects before I call it quits and see if we ever see each other again. To the shooting. All right, jumping right in. MagTech 158 grain, 4-inch Ruger GP 100. And I do not show if they're hollow points or not, so we'll just have to keep that as a surprise. First one, it looks like I'm shooting single action. We got a 1282. Not bad for 150. Actually, 158 grain is not bad at all. Second shot, looking at a 1256. Third, 1236. And we're going to a 1248. And just when I thought I had a consistent string going, I think this one is a little bit low. And that would be 1174. Exactly. All right. 3 inches right into it. Same MagTech. 1183. 1176, which I think is the mean I used. I should have been calling out the mean this whole time. 1167. And 4 is a 1097 for some reason. Yeah, you know, maybe it's MagTech. And the last one is going to be an 1155. Let's see how we go with our 2-inch J-frame. Watch this technique. This technique on the first one, watch. Boop. What was that, a 1043? That's what happens when you go from a gun that weighs nothing after shooting. This should be what? 1024, a gun that weighs nothing, and then after shooting those 2 monsters, almost flew out of my hand. What do we got here? 1037. That would have been riveting video, by the way. And this is a 1009, 1009. And finally, a 1020. Okay, on to the 125 grain Horn of the American Gunner out of my 4-inch GP100. First round. 1425, comes sizzling out right off the bat. This is a 1421, which is my median, I believe. Third in the string is a 1431. And then a 1393. There's always one, I'm telling you. What do we got here? A 1417. Okay, on to the 3-inch. Sorry, onto the 3-inch. I don't know if that cut off. What do we got? 1351. Hanging in there. Next. 1347. What do we got? 1406. Oh, I think I remember this. That happened so long ago. And a duplicate 1406, which usually indicates an error. And finally, a 1311. Let's go to the 2-inch. Blammo. 1190. 1176. I tell you, I still like it. 125 grains, almost 1200 feet per second. Blammo. I think it almost hit me in the face again. Did you see that? 1188. Blammo. And 1105. And I think, yeah, that's it. Okay, you have 10 seconds to memorize this chart. Seriously, pause it if you want, but I'm going to go over everything right now. Okay, it's over. Chronographs are over. Before you saw the data, and I'm going to break that down. Before I do that, you see I'm wearing a different t-shirt. I'm going to just quickly realize, although I mentioned them throughout, I'll show you the actual test guns that I used. The first being the my 4-inch version was this Ruger GP100 4-inch barrel, which is a 6-shot revolver, obviously blued. The 3-inch duties were handled by also a Ruger GP100, this one in stainless, also 6-shot revolver, stainless with again, 3-inch barrel. And finally, the 2-inch barrel was the I believe this is a Smith& Wesson. Well, I know it's Smith& Wesson J-frame. I believe the model of this is the M360, which is a airweight. Or is it airweight? Does it say it on it? Yeah, I think so. I'm so blind. 5-shot, 357 Magnum revolver. This is a nice little piece, I got to tell you. So those are my test guns. Now, I'm probably going to need a different T-shirt to finish this up. Let's go dive into this data, and I'll give you what I think about what we saw with differences between these three revolvers, and which one I think might be the best all around. Tough to say though. But let's go to the video. Let's go to the I guess videotape. Let's just go dive into this data. Okay, so here we are, different room. This is by far better lighting in here. This house has a better relationship with the sun. Believe it or not, it's like the middle of the afternoon right now. It's like 2 in the afternoon. Different part room in the house, different T-shirt, and probably maybe even a different haircut. Okay, let's get right into the data here, so I can wrap this damn thing up. I'll hold it up. This is not going to be riveting to look at. Maybe you pause the screen, maybe you memorize it, but I'll hold it up because I don't have the depth of field where I can stand in front of a board, and point to the things. So with these up, let's say with the 158 grain, as you see, the 4-inch barrel gave us a mean average of 1,239 feet per second and 539 energy foot-pounds. Now, as I said, for my purposes, so I don't have to keep saying two sets of numbers, I'm going with you see the numbers in red? Are they in red in this? Yes, the numbers in red. That's my median. Because of such a wide, like in 158 grain had a 108 feet per second variance between the fastest and the slowest round. And the 3-inch barrel in 86, I think it's a bit much. I think maybe the lighting was tricking my radar chronograph. I don't know. But I decided let's go with median. I'm not picking the best number to make everyone seem good. I think a median is pretty safe because it's right in the middle of the exact middle of all the numbers we got. So in any case, let's go with medians from now on. 4-inch barrel, 158 grain gave us a median energy foot-pounds of 1248, which translates into 546 energy foot-pounds. And honestly, only a 7 foot-pounds advantage over using the mean on this. On a 3-inch barrel, 158 grain gave us a median of 1176 for 485 energy foot-pounds. And a 2-inch barrel, a median of 1024 for 368 energy foot-pounds. Again, what do these numbers show us? If we go down to the chart here, you're going to see when you lose an inch, when you go from 4-inch to 3-inch, you lose, and again, I'm going to only go by median numbers right now. You lost 72 feet per second on these rounds. 72 feet per second when we're talking about almost 1,300 feet per second. That's not a killer. I'm going to say that, the 3 to 4-inch, although not negligible, you could feel confident if what you're carrying is a 3-inch, and it is easier to carry if you're carrying a 3-inch instead of a 4-inch. What we also see is that when we go that dropping to that 2-inch barrel, we're losing 224 feet per second off of the 4-inch, and you're dropping 152 feet per second from the 3-inch. Now, obviously, it's not as bad with the mean average, but we're sticking with medians here. You argue with me all you want. So you are losing a substantial amount. When you're dropping, when you lose 1 inch from 3 to 4, 4 to 3, you're losing 72 feet per second. But when you drop that other inch from 3 to 2, you're losing 224 feet per second. So that's a precipitous drop. When it comes to energy foot-pounds, you'll see, 3 inches, you're dropping 61 energy foot-pounds. Okay, when you got energy foot-pounds around 500, that's a drop. But again, the 3-inch is not much of a sacrifice. When you go to 2 inches, though, you're dropping 178 energy foot-pounds from the 4-inch and 117 from the 3-inch. That is precipitous, but again, you're choosing program compliance and concealability. And let's face it, 158 grains traveling at 1024 feet per second, 368 energy foot-pounds, that's still quite a punch. So let's go to our next page. I don't want to bury everybody in numbers here. But I'll try and go through this quickly because now you know my rules. You can see it for yourself, but I'm going by the median. So get mad at me all you want. 125 grain. We're going to see the 4-inch barrel gave us a median feet per second of 1421 for 560 foot-pounds of energy. That's you're doing better with a faster bullet, a lighter, faster bullet when it comes to 357. Apparently, the 3-inch barrel, our median is 1347 for still over 504 energy foot-pounds, and that which is also more. That's more than you're doing with the heavier bullet with the 3-inch barrel. And then a 2-inch barrel, 1176 and 348 energy foot-pounds, which, believe it or not, you did better with the heavier bullet in the smaller barrel. I'm a little bit surprised about that. And here we see our deviations. The deviation is much better with the Hornady, but again, 95 feet per second deviation on the 3-inch barrel. I still, that's why I'm doing medians, guys. I think my radar chrono is can be fooled sometimes. And 85 feet per second deviation on a 2-inch barrel. That's why I stick with medians. That's the last time that horse is dead. I'm gonna stop beating it. All right, and here we go. The feet per second. You're dropping when you drop from the 3-inch barrel to from the 4-inch barrel to the 3-inch barrel. You're losing 74 feet per second, which was right on par with the 72 that you lost from the 158 grain. And when you drop from the 4-inch barrel to the 2-inch barrel, you're losing 245 feet per second and 171 off the 3-inch. So you're actually dropping more. Yeah, you're dropping more on both. The shorter barrel seems to keep up better when it has that heavier bullet. I wonder how many scientists out there can explain that to me. And as we see, energy foot-pounds, you're dropping 56 energy foot-pounds for the 3-inch from the 4-inch, and you're dropping again 212 from the, again, look at that. You only dropped 178 energy foot-pounds from the 3-inch from the 2-inch to the 4-inch. Here you're dropping 212. And you dropped 156 with the lighter bullet from the 2-inch to the 3-inch. You only dropped 117 with the heavier bullet. So if I'm going to put on my scientific thinking cap here, as I said, I'm not going to do the ARX. It's ridiculous. If I'm going to put on my scientific thinking cap here, I guess a lighter bullet, 125 grain bullet, which is relying on speed, you're really, when you're losing that speed in the shorter barrel, you're losing more ballistically than with that heavier bullet, which again, it's relying on speed, but it's carrying more mass. So this is getting it fast enough where it's still packing enough punch. You're doing better with the heavier bullet on the shorter barrel. Now, what do we learn here? The science was the science. I mean, you saw what it was. You could memorize the chart if you want to, and you could see what my results are on my chronograph on the ammunition I was using. I'm in New York, where it's sea level, so there's no more about elevation. I was indoors, so the weather wasn't a factor. Basically, it's the ammunition and the equipment I was using, and as in famous words from a famous man, chronographs don't always agree with each other. But going by my chronographs, that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing that you're not losing much from here to here. So if you got one of these, smoke them if you got them. Because again, I gotta admit, this is easier to carry. It's a good package. And when I explained to my nightstand thing, it's less for the guy for the mutt to grab onto. I think this is the superior gun. Only this is model specific because of the sights. Now, yeah, I could gunsmith it out or go to a gunsmith with this pins, this drilled out sight here, and put a new one on, maybe something better than that. Instead, I went with my paint job, which is still kind of holding up, except where I holster it. But no matter what I do, I got that trough rear sight, and that's specific to this gun. Though there are 3-inch versions of the GP100 that have fully adjustable sights, whereas this one has the fully adjustable sights. It has the adjustable rear. It has the easy to pop out. You put the thing in, and you can swap it out. Then I got a nice dot tritium fiber optic tritium sight in here. I go with the sights on this, so that's why this is now took over my nightstand gun duties. I like the glowing front sight, and this is actually the gun I generally have around the house. During the course of the day, as I've said many times, the world's a dangerous place. I got this one loaded with the 100. I got 125 grains on this. You see, it's delivering more power with 125 grains, and it's nicer shooting with the lighter bullet with a heavy gun like this. I'll keep this in a holster on top of the fridge, and again, it's just there. It sits there. Someone knocks on the door. Yeah, obviously, I'm going to see who it is. But any noise, things will bump in the night. Whatever I'm doing, this is the house gun. It's laying around. It's controllable. I shoot it well, and as opposed to the 44, this is I like 357. I think it's a good all around. This is a good gun. It's kind of relegated now to just if I'm doing a woods walk or something, or if I feel like I want to have a full size 6-shot 357 Magnum. At least I know now it's delivering similar performance, and I don't feel bad about owning it. I don't feel bad about having it. It's easier to carry, easier to conceal. And which holster is this? It's the holster for it, I think. Yeah. And a good all around gun. So if you have that 3-incher, I wouldn't run out and buy a 3-inch over a 4-inch for what I use my 4-inch for. But if you have one, if you have the 3-inch Magnum 357, you're doing good. Now, where does this come in? Doing this test is finally it's. I remembered I have this thing in my drawer, and I've been carrying my what the hell's it called? My Ruger LCP Max has pretty much been my everyday ride in the subways in this hellhole of a city uh, gun that I've been carrying. But in doing this and doing these numbers again, I've actually started to carry this now. This is kind of my everyday thing. I'm rationalizing it by, although again the semi-autos have a flat profile and they're easier to carry in the waistband, and I carry this in the waistband. This is very light too, and it's being as how it's winter time and it's so goddamn cold here. All the zombies and the living dead that I run into in the course of my travels in Manhattan, they're all wearing layers upon layers upon layers of shit's urine smelling clothes. So I figure let's get a 357 and have it get the penetration that I'm going to need with the performance I know I'm going to get out of 357. Now I also have this loaded with 125 grain. I go with 125 grain. Now you saw from my exploits in the shooting portion of this video why that might just be. Let me take these off. Why that may be. You saw how this jumped out of my hand. Now I'm not a complete idiot. Give me a break. I was shooting this thing, then this thing. They weigh more than a brick each, and then I put this air weight, and it is thus air weight. I put this air weight in my hand, and yeah, it almost went flying. Well, although that was exaggerated, there is a noticeable difference putting 158 grain rounds through this gun than 125 grain rounds. That's why I settled on 125 grain. But ballistically, honestly, if I'm being honest with myself, maybe I should consider just putting my big boy pants on and really drilling this, getting slick with this again, and really just making myself feed at the 158 grains, because you're getting more energy foot pounds out of it. You're losing less ballistically than you lose from this barrel length for the other two, and you're getting more energy foot pounds than if I'm carrying the 125 grains. So that's something for me to mull over. This is just so unpleasant to shoot with 158 grains, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I like 125 grain. I'll keep you posted in case any of you are interested on that. And that's about all I have. Okay, so final thoughts. I gave you my final thoughts. What's my next video going to be? I don't know. I came off. I was watching the opening of this video again. I came off as a little morose. Believe me, I'm not on the cliff or anything. It's just that again, I'm running out of things I could do in this format. I can't go in the yard, and I can't do ballistics testing. I can't do barrier testing. I can't shoot things. I can't set up steel and go out there, and I can't do a Hickok 45. I can't do that stuff. I simply can't. All my stuff is range. So other than me buying a new gun and doing a review, which any idiot can do, and when I buy my next gun, I'll do a review on it. Sure, but other than that, and who can afford to keep doing that? I'm nobody. Gun companies don't know me, so no one's sending me free guns, and I don't have a Patreon account. If I did, I don't expect you guys to buy me guns either. That's kind of ridiculous. So what can I do? I don't know. When my next video is going to be, I don't know. My last new gun was that Mini 14. Maybe I will, if I get a wild hair at my ass, once the weather gets warmer, I can go back out to some of the outdoor ranges we have here. Maybe I'll do a review on that, and if the world needs another Mini 14 review. But I might do a review on that. At least that's something to talk about. But otherwise, I guess we'll see each other when we see each other. Because do you need to see me just shoot the same guns I've had all this time? If I think of something unusual, I'll certainly put it on a video. I'll certainly make a video and I'll put it out there for you guys. In any case, thanks for subscribing. Thanks for continuing to watch. Thank you for commenting. I'm not gone, but when we see each other again, who knows? And as I make this video, just as a timestamp, Donald Trump is going to be inaugurated today's Saturday in 2 days. So we got 2 more days with that mumbling, bumbling, stumbling, drooling, corrupt old man in the White House. Let's see what else he can fuck up before they shuffle him out the door. And on that note, merry whatever, and hopefully I see you before the 4th of July. Signing off.